It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome to it. You tune into your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso right here on SABC3. That tune means it's time for some baby talk on your Thursday morning. Now, according to the World Health Organization, autism usually manifests during the first 3 years of a person's life. Now, children with autism have difficulty with a wide range of social activities. Now, in bringing awareness for World Autism Day this past Tuesday, our trusted pediatric dietitian Kath Megaw is back with us. She helps us figure out the early signs and whether it is preventable. We're also joined by Peggy Schnapp's occupational therapist. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Lovely to have you guys. And I'm glad we're talking about this, of course, World Autism Day that took place on Tuesday, raising awareness, understanding it as well, which is a big one. I think let's start off with the early signs of autism. What do they present with?
Obviously, because it's a social behavioral condition, you will find that children on the spectrum, and I say spectrum because it is a range, and Peggy can talk more into that, will definitely show inability to communicate on a social level and interact on a social level. That might be verbal communication, is definitely one of a delayed verbal communication. Can be one of the telltale signs.
Okay.
From my perspective as a dietitian, what we do see is we see quite specific feed-in behaviors where these children might have been fairly good eaters early on, and then suddenly they become very resistant to the different food textures and incorporating newness and variety, because they tend to be quite resistant to something that is new, and that can be quite fearful. Because of the lack of the communication, it's difficult to actually deal with that. So
especially at that early age as well.
Exactly, yeah.
And from an occupational therapist perspective, you're looking at what are the roles and activities that a baby will be doing or engaging in. So it's really play, it's learning about the world, it's exploring through their senses, engaging with mums and dads or other people in the environment. And when you see breakdowns there, so they're not playing efficiently, they're either seeking too much information from a sensory perspective or avoiding sensory experiences, or maybe they're not engaging efficiently with their parents, those are signs that little red flags that you should be worried about and looking at further intervention.
And of course, as always, we do invite you to call us 021-430-9881 if you have any comments, or maybe you want to ask a question to Kath and Peggy this morning. Please feel free to do so. You can also remain anonymous should you wish. 021-430-9881. Like I said, it is you know, hard because there's various levels of it, like we've learned from World Autism Day as well. But is there anything that parents can do to prevent autism from occurring, or is it you know, if it is, then it is?
So really the jury's out about what or how autism, why it occurs. In terms of prevention, you can definitely mitigate the extent of the autism, especially early on. Early intervention is a key. So getting those professionals on board to help support, and then just because it is a social emotional disorder, just engaging with your child early on, play, taking the pressure off, getting on that floor and experiencing and having fun with your baby, because we develop best through or within the context of a meaningful relationship. Parents and primary caregivers are the most important piece of the puzzle in terms of just supporting that development. And so just having fun and getting on that floor is so valuable.
Yeah.
There's a lot around the gut and what goes on in the gut and how children respond. Children is a very small percentage, and there's a lot of ongoing studies with regards to how we feed our children, and children particularly who are on the spectrum or susceptible to autism have shown to respond to certain dietary interventions. But you've got to be careful because there's a lot out there, a lot of information and a lot of misinformation, and a lot of money gets spent unnecessarily.
Awesome. We'll delve into a little bit more on those, you know, kind of symptoms and signs as well, and also how parents can deal with the diagnosis of autism in just a bit. Remember, our lines are open. Call us 021-430-9881. We will be back with Peggy and Kath in just a bit.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're tuning into your Feel Good Breakfast Show Express right here on SABC3. We're continuing our baby talk segment right now with Kath Megaw, paediatric dietitian, and also Peggy Schnapp's occupational therapist. We are talking autism in light of World Autism Day. That was this past Tuesday. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies. We have a caller on the line. Good morning. Hi, Lebo. Hi, Lebo. Good morning. Oh, Neville. Neville, good morning. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Neville. What's your question or your comment this morning?
Firstly, good morning to you and your guest.
Thank you.
My question is pertaining chelation therapy or biomedical treatment. I am having a son that is 14 years old. He is diagnosed with autism. We have done all medical tests that we could, but we were never informed about chelation therapy and biomedical treatment. So my question is that if I'm going to take that route of doing the therapy or the biomedical treatment, will it give me any results on the autism of my child? Thank you.
So those different types of treatments.
Yeah,
that
so
he's-
the biomedical model is basically looking again at, it's a lot to do with the gut, what's going on in the gut. So kind of looking on a biological value with regards to what you feed in your child, looking at correcting the gut microbacteria, looking at heavy metals in the body. The research is kind of not neither here nor there. He's asking, is he going to get results?
That's
It's a very difficult question to answer, and I think it brings us to what we were talking about during the break with regards to finding a medical manager, someone who's going to manage his child and then filter this sort of information through that person that he trusts.
Okay.
So that he can assess these different ideas, because there's definitely merit in the biomedical model, and we do like to look at the holistic child as a whole and not just in individual parts, not just therapy and not just medication and not just food, so the whole child. So that's really what the biomedical model is saying. So yes, if you do look at your child holistically, you are going to get results down the line if you're using appropriate people who know what they're talking about.
Okay.
Absolutely, Kath. And I think what you're saying about a medical manager is so important, because for parents, there are so many different therapies, options, recommendations out there, and you can spend thousands. And there are merits and value in many of them, but you have to pick what works for you and what works for your child and what works for your family. And it's often very difficult because every person that you ask who's had experience with autism will recommend something different. So finding a professional that you can trust, and it's often the person who you first go to, so your pediatric neurologist or your developmental pediatrician, a psychologist, that can manage your therapeutic team and can support you in making the decisions about what is going to work for your child and your family, so that you don't get pushed from pillar to post and you can really focus on the child and what's best for them.
At the end of the day, it really is all about the child, and you need to facilitate
Exactly.
that. And you also understand why it becomes so important to have a day like World Autism Day, because there's so many different levels and so many things to talk about. Just one question before we go. Once autism has been diagnosed within your child, I mean, how do you deal as a parent with that diagnosis? I mean, what's your first step?
Sure. So I think take a deep breath. It's not an easy thing for parents to hear, but you need to remember that it is a spectrum and there are varying degrees, and you know, every child with autism is different and they all have different presentations, and you can make a very big impact on how this condition is going to play out. I think the medical manager, somebody that's going to really support you along the way. Early intervention is a key, so find those therapists and get into a good therapeutic program. And then, you know, as a parent, be good to yourself. You can't do everything. You need to take it slow. You need to get me time and parent time so that you can fill your cup, so that you can be the best for your child. And, you know, talk to others who've walked down the road. Don't go on the internet and Google everything because it's very overwhelming, but find people who've been down that road and talk about it and just get the support that you need.
Kath, yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to stop us there. I know that there's a lot to talk about. I wish we had more time, but I've also heard from previous discussions that we had throughout the course of the week, parents saying, children with autism, they are the most amazing children out there. And it really comes down to, like you said, I love the fact that one message, get a medical manager that you trust as a family and find the right path for you and your family. That's your Baby Talk on your Thursday.